Good evening. Glad that you are watching us on the county's television on the news tonight. Tonight, the police have approved Deputy President William Ruto's meeting in Nyamira County on Thursday, but his allies are still not appeased. We shall tell you why. Also tonight, cash crunch in counties set to end as the National Treasury has released 52.2 billion shillings and directed county bosses to prioritize pending bills. Plus, pupils and students to sit national assessment test next week, just days after the sluggish reopening of schools after a 4-month break. And tonight we tell you the story of an unlikely candidate for a PhD, why age is indeed but a number when pursuing education. Tonight of all nights, Anne Wairimu is our sign language interpreter. TV47 News Tonight with me, Abu Bakr Abdullahi, begins right now. Good evening. Tonight, the National Treasury has disbursed 52.2 billion shillings to county governments. This is an equitable share for the months of July and August 2020. In a statement to newsrooms, the National Treasury and Planning has urged the county governments to use the money on settling the county government pending bills. The disbursement of the funds comes in the wake of a lawsuit by the Council of Governors seeking to compel Treasury to release 50% of the equitable allocation. Now, the Kenya National Examination Council has announced assessment dates and procedures for primary school pupils as schools gear up for the first reopening. NEC Acting Chief Executive Officer Dr. Mercy Karogo has asked the teachers to ensure the assessments are carried out reliably and with utmost integrity. Mwangi Maina has the details.
In a memo sent out to all head teachers by the Kenya National Examinations Council, Acting Chief Executive Officer Dr. Mercy Karogo, assessment for Class 8 and Grade 4 pupils will be administered from 19th to 23rd October. A week from now, assessment for other classes will be conducted upon reopening of the specific classes. Class 7 and Class 8 pupils will be assessed in all KCP subjects. Class 5 and Class 6 pupils will be assessed in English, Kiswahili, Mathematics and Science. Grade 4 pupils will be assessed in English, Kiswahili, Mathematics, Environmental Activities and Science and Technology in a combined paper, assessing all areas from environmental activities undertaken from Grade 1 to Grade 3. Pupils in Grade 1 to Grade 3 will be assessed in fundamental literacy and numeracy involving English, Kiswahili and mathematics activities. Every school will come up with their own assessments whose items will be drawn from previous classes or grades and term 1 of the current class or grade. For instance, Class 8 will be assessed from Class 1 to Class 7 and term 1 of Class 8. Mwangi Maina, TV47, Nairobi.
A number of learners are yet to report to school due to lack of school fees. This despite a directive by the Ministry of Education that no child should be turned away from schools due to lack of school fees. Nanok Lorraine caught up with one parent whose child was sent away on the first day of the reopening while the others cannot afford to take their child to schools and has filed the following report.
In Juja Town, Kiambu County, we met two parents who on the second day after schools reopened, their children are still at home. Caroline Nafula, mother to one Jerry Simeo, a Class 8 candidate in Oldonyo Sabuk Academy located in Thika, was turned away on the very first day of schools reopening because of lack of school fees.
Nilikuwa nimetishwa 18,000 na nilikuwa na 5,000 kwa mkono, kwa sababu hiyo mbili niliona sitawachilia mtoto aende bila kitu. Nikamnunulia vitu kidogo za matumizi shuleni, alafu nikalipa 5,000, lakini bado haikusaidia kwa sababu niliambiwa hata kubaliwa kabisa kama sijamaliza 18,000.
This is contrary to Education CS Professor George Magoha's directive that no student should be turned away from either a private or public school due to lack of school fees.
May I once again plead with our principals and head teachers to ensure that no child is sent home on account of school fees, both in the private and the public sector.
Thoughts of having her son transferred from a private to a public school has crossed Carol's mind, a move she says will see her son carry on with his education.
Nilifikiria tu kumtafutilia shule yoyote hapa, aende asome alafu aende akalie mtihani wake huko, lakini sijapata nafasi ya kwenda kutafuta.
Kasiri nyumba nilikuwa nafanya kazi ya kufua nguo. Sasa fenye wanafunzi walienda nyumbani, huko Juja tunategemea sana kufulia wanafunzi, lakini sasa sijawaipata pesa, hata kukula ni shida kwa nyumba. Mimi nataka mtoto wangu aendelee na masomo, ni fenye pesa ndio imekuwa shida.
Kenya Secondary School Heads Association Chair Ndimuli Kahi says fees payment is the main challenge schools are facing as Form 4 learners have resumed studies. The Machakos Boys principal said the majority of parents in the school have no funds to pay for the second term fee.
Challenge that we may get is now on the side of school fees payment. As we understand, the majority of the parents have come in and are saying they still don't have the funds because of the having stayed at home without working, and they have asked us to hold on the students for a given period of time.
Schools in Makueni County are slowly resuming learning, with low number of students reporting to schools by the second day.
Ile shida iko ni school fees, sababu hatukuwa tumejiandaa kwa kutosha.
These are just but a few of the saddened faces of parents who, for one reason or another, have not managed to release their children back to school. Nanok Lauren, TV47 from Juja, Kiambu County.
Now, schools heads now claim that the monies allocated per child will not be enough to sustain them in schools. The schools heads have lamented that the amounts allocated will not cater for debts already incurred by the schools. Josh Onsare has the details.
Just a day after grade 4, class 8 and Form 4 learners resumed their studies, school heads are now raising concern over the money allocated per child. The school head claims the 137 shillings per child allocated by the government may not be enough to cater for debts incurred by the school so far.
Tangu mwezi wa 3 hatujawahi kulipa ama kukimu mahitaji ya shule, ikiwemo stima, maji, wafanyakazi wa kawaida huko kwa shule. Tukiangalia shule kama iko na pengine watoto 500, hizo ni angalau shilingi ya 50,000 ambazo ni kidogo sana, na itakuwa shida sana kukimu mahitaji ya shule kama serikali yenyewe haitaweza kuongeza fedha zingine.
Kenya Secondary School Heads Association Chair Ndimuli Kai now says fees payment is the main challenge school face as Form 4 learners resumes studies. And with restrictions on donations to schools, many are finding it hard to resume operations.
The school cannot work without the drivers, without the lab technicians, without the watchmen, without the cleaners. They need to be paid their salaries so that they can also fend for their family.
Private schools are, on the other hand, struggling to reopen due to lack of funds. Private school owners are now calling on the government to release the 7 billion shillings loan promised by the Ministry of Education to cushion them.
We want the government to come in and help us, especially for the private sector. We are requesting the government to join hands with us so that we get the help that the Parliament passed of 7 billion to help the community, the private schools in Kenya, to resume with all that is needed.
Many parents say even providing their kids with face masks has been a challenge, calling on the government to aid them.
Magoha, you must give them mask. Kano, watu wangojewe. Tuelezewe vile tutalipa polepole. Hata banks, tulipewa nafasi, tulipe polepole.
Joash Onsare, TV47, Nairobi.
Thank you, Joash Onsare, for that report. Now listen to this. 79-year-old Dr. Aldo Ojong Deng graduated with a doctorate of philosophy in history on Friday from Mount Kenya University. Dr. Aldo received his first degree, guess when? Right when he was 53 years of age. The member of the National Legislature in South Sudan spoke of his academic journey and his vision for Africa to our Education Affairs reporter Sharon Baranga.
You having fulfilled the necessary academic requirements, I do hereby admit you to the Doctor of Philosophy in History in the Social Sciences, and by my authority and that of the entire university, give you power to read and to do all that pertains to this degree. Congratulations.
My name is Aldo Ojong Deng Akwe. I'm a member of Parliament right now in South Sudan, and I have been a member of Parliament for 50 years now, because it began in 1967 when I was 22 years to date. I work also as a government minister. Today, I'm very happy to have reached and achieved the ultimate certificate, PhD in history or politics. I have never used my certificate for employment, and I will not even use this for employment, but I shall use it for a think tank, not only for Southern, for Africa, because my topic dragged me into Africa, because my topic is a study and a research into liberation movement. And the title is Evolution, Sudan People's Liberation Movement, SPLM, from 1983 to 2016. In 1995, I thought of going back to school. 1995. You can see how many years. Minus 22. How many years was that? Something like 53 years. Then I applied to the School of Oriental African Studies, University of London, and was accepted 2003. And I studied master degree in international law and diplomacy. And I finished it 2005. 2005, and I graduated on 19 July 2005. Accepted to join the Mount Kenya in September 2014. I was promptly accepted, very friendly, and so on. Because I could pause and say, my age and my intention, I want to get to social sciences and humanities. This thesis is an entry into finding and investigating into African liberation movement.
There is this ideology that we've seen from some of the African leaders, like from the late Muammar Gaddafi, Julius Malema of South Africa. They all want Africa to unite. Do you think this dream will ever be achieved of just having one Africa, one nation?
The dream is coming and has arrived to East Africa community. It has come to East Africa community as we speak now. But if we actually get ourselves to our realities, the East Africa community now has a parliament. It has the boundary. And it has very active members. What we need now is to grow slowly and open our market as one market to East Africa now and break the borders open. We now in South Sudan are preparing the Swahili in our school in order to fit into East Africa. This East Africa is a symbol that will be joined by all Africa. And this is the introduction of African unity overall. We are going to be one. One Africa, one boundary, one everything.
Any challenges that you went through on your education journey, especially when you're studying for your PhD? What are some of the challenges that you went through and how did you overcome them?
When I came, I thought I would do it like the station in which you find out all what you want to write and then the number for correction. But this one is different. You really look to identify the title, the topic. You made a proposal, and your proposal is subjected to defense. And if you have defended it, again, it is brought back to you. Because the teacher there is the way they are teaching you. And you again get back corrections and so on and get it back. But this one was a new experience. And tedious. You know, these young people in Mount Kenya, especially there is a young person who is called editorial officer. He's the director of postgraduate. You can go back to that man 100 times. And he will not give you a space. He will return a comma to you. Because you have missed fully stopped. And if you don't do it, he is not tired. He cannot get tired. He will return it to you again. See?
So they are very thorough.
And that what has been going on for 4 years.
What a story indeed. Dr. Aldo is scaling the heights of education. A first degree at 53, a PhD at 79. He's too young for academics as per the agencies. Keep talking to us. You're watching TV47 News Tonight with me, Abu Bakr Abdullahi. The hashtag to use is TV47 News. Share with us your views, your opinion on voice matters and counts. Let me sample some. Nixon from Kindaruma says national assessment test for grade 4 scheduled for next week is too soon, and that is subjecting too much pressure on the kids. Of course, this is a reaction to our top story tonight of the Kenya National Examination Council giving and laying out procedures in as far as the assessment of students is concerned. Keep talking to us. Time for us to take a short break. We'll be back with more after this break. Don't go too far.
Kila siku ya Jumatano tunazungumza, tunaulizana na tunajuzana masuala ibuka ya kisiasa.
Uhuru is not in Kirinyaga.
Maisha yangu ni huru na watu wangu wanyali.
Tulivunja vyama vya URP na TNA na vyama vingine tanzu, ndio tukaunda chama inaitwa Jubilee.
Mijadala komavu kuhusu yanayokuhusu, na zaidi ya yote tunakupa nafasi kumfahamu kiongozi wako katika kipindi Fahamu Kiongozi.
Yako kama mtoto ilikuwa gani?
Mimi nilizaliwa, sasa najuaje maisha ilikuwa
wakati namuuliza maisha.
Kwanza ilikuwa tu ni jaribu kabisa kufikia pahali ambapo nitafika Nairobi. Najua ilikuwa ni kazi ambayo ilichukua siku mingi sana kufika Nairobi.
Kila siku ya Jumatano kuanzia saa 1:30 hadi saa 2:30. Ungana naye Elizabeth Mutuku, usikose.
It is said that cooking is one of the greatest gifts you can give those you love, because nothing brings people together like good food. Join Chef Hamadi every Sunday at 6:30 p.m. as he teaches us some simple and quick recipes, only on The Throwdown.
You are the mighty God, the great I am. Hallelujah, hallelujah.
This and every Sunday, TV47 brings church straight to your home. Come, worship straight from your home as we bring you the Sunday church service at the All Saints Cathedral from 11 a.m.
Kila siku ya Jumatano tunazungumza, tunaulizana na tunajuzana masuala ibuka ya kisiasa.
Kuna Uhuru he is not in Kirinyaga.
Maisha yangu ni huru na watu wangu wanyali.
Tulivunja vyama vya URP na TNA na vyama vingine tanzu, ndio tukaunda chama inaitwa Jubilee.
Mijadala komavu kuhusu yanayokuhusu, na zaidi ya yote tunakupa nafasi kumfahamu kiongozi wako katika kipindi Fahamu Kiongozi.
Yako kama mtoto ilikuwa gani?
Mimi nilizaliwa, sasa najuaje maisha ilikuwa
wakati namuuliza maisha.
Kwanza ilikuwa tu ni jaribu kabisa kufikia pahali ambapo nitafika Nairobi. Najua ilikuwa ni kazi ambayo ilichukua siku mingi sana kufika Nairobi.
Welcome back to TV47 News Tonight with me, Abu Bakar Abdullahi. Thank you for staying with us. Let's get to more news. And the police department has allowed Deputy President William Ruto's faction to hold political meetings planned for in Nyamira County on Thursday this week. However, the organizers of the meeting will be held responsible. And as our parliamentary affairs reporter Elizabeth Mutuku now reports, Ruto's allies are still sounding defiant on the directives issued by the National Security Council.
As the new directives by the National Security Council continue to elicit mixed reactions among the political class, Deputy President William Ruto's allies continue to claim to be unfairly targeted. A section of Ruto's allies claim they will defy the directives.
The Constitution gives us the right to assemble and associate with anyone we want to associate with. Therefore, if your problem is us associating and assembling where the Deputy President is, we will assemble. And we will respect the rule of law. But any law that is unconstitutional, we are obligated as citizens to exercise civil disobedience against that law.
That issue that police have allowed is just it's a laughable. It is nowhere, it's not backed by any law, and that advisory from the non-existent National Advisory Council or something that they call themselves, that was addressed by the head of civil service, is also not backed in law. It is not recognized anywhere in the Constitution of Kenya. So those are just deep state trying to play politics with the minds of Kenyans.
This is even as police department is reported to have approved a meeting to be held in Nyamira on Thursday this week after last week's meetings were cancelled. The Law Society of Kenya LSK has challenged the directives in court.
Kwa hivyo lazima watubu na wapatie watu wa Kenya apology kwa ile maneno wameendelea kufanya kuanzia Keno na kuikineko. Kenyans people are peaceful. Vile tuko hapa, hakuna Mkenya wa kawaida anaweza jiambia pale nyuma arushie mwingine jiwe. Lazima akuwe amelipwa na anajua serikali inamlinda afanye hiyo maovu.
Kwa sheria ya kuzuia mikutano iwekwe sheria kwa kila mtu. Tuliona wanakataza mkutano ya Ruto, Raila anaendelea. Simuliona? Mudavadi anaendelea. Simuliona? Gideon Moi anaendelea. Simuliona? Kwa nini sheria gani ya mtu mmoja? Na huyo deputy president wa Nasarawi, huyo ndio Mungu atakuja kuwekelea mafuta akiwa pamoja na hiyo nchi.
We will continue holding meetings. We will continue notifying the police, but they don't necessarily have to write those letters. Let them stop playing with the minds of Kenyans. They know those letters are illegal. They are not backed by law. So let them start saying now they have allowed us to hold meetings. That is not anywhere by law. The Constitution allows for freedom of expression, freedom of association, and freedom of worship.
Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka is warning the police service of being misused by politicians for political gains.
Advisory is not selective, because if it is selective, then it is illegal. Because citizens must be served equally. It must be the business of the police to ensure security of every Kenyan, even those who are dancing Dombolo ahead of time. It is their duty. It is their duty to be protected under the law.
Elizabeth Mutuko, TV47 Nairobi.
Now, away from politics, Kenya might be experiencing a second wave of COVID-19 infections. This is according to the Ministry of Health, that says the positivity rate has significantly increased, with the country recording 10 COVID-19 deaths today. Zainab Mohammed has the details.
Barely 3 weeks since the relaxation of COVID-19 containment measures by President Uhuru Kenyatta, things are seemingly getting worse by the day. The Ministry of Health now warning that Kenya might be experiencing a second wave of COVID-19 infections.
A second wave is a real likelihood for us. I think the data, as we have seen coming in, and we need to watch it very carefully over the next few days and weeks, is that we are beginning to see another steady climb following the relaxations.
According to the ministry, the positivity rate has significantly increased, with the country recording an increasing death rate by the day.
Today, our positivity rate was 12 point something. These positivity rates may fluctuate over time, but when we look at the 7-day moving average, and then we begin to see that we are moving above the 5% positivity rate, it's a danger sign that we are moving in the wrong direction.
The ministry has further issued a stern warning to stakeholders in the education sector against ignoring COVID-19 set guidelines, saying that schools might be closed again should the infections continue to surge.
We'll have to face it. If we find that the numbers are rising and are unmanageable, we will have to take action to restrict movements, perhaps even go back. It is a possibility that we could go back to closing schools.
Zainab Mohammed, TV47.
Moving on, a 3-day conference that brings together economists and statisticians is going on in Mombasa to forge the way forward for the economic recovery post-COVID-19. The conference was opened by the Principal Secretary for the State Department for Planning, Mariam Wacharo, reports from Mombasa.
The three-day conference that was presided over by the Principal Secretary for Planning, Saitoti Torome, is meant to provide seamless collaboration and coordination, a platform for information sharing, provision of feedback and strategizing on the way forward between different stakeholders in the departments for planning and development so as to push forth the development agenda.
This forum was convened, and we all know that, in order to promote interaction and synergy between the State Department for Planning and the CPPMU officers, as well as officers who have been deployed to the national government planning offices at the county level. The forum also presents an opportunity for information sharing, stock taking, networking, provision of feedback, and strategizing on the way forward.
Different strategies are in place to jumpstart the economy and ensure development progression across all counties.
That is why we want to eventually establish the planning offices in the counties. We have already started implementing the proposal, because we have planning offices now. We have started from the top, from the 8 regions, and then we trickle down to the 47 counties.
As part of the stakeholders working towards development, a special team, the Central Planning and Monitoring Unit, was developed to spearhead various activities moving forward. The International Monetary Fund is already projecting a deep recession in 2020, with global growth projected to 4.4% in its latest update to the World Economic Outlook forecast.
CPPMU across MDS are crucial to the implementation of the national and social and sectoral development planning functions. Specifically, the functions include planning, budgeting, costing of projects and programs, economic analysis, and review of government policies, strategies, and programs, monitoring and evaluation of development programs and projects, and spearheading the strategic planning process. As such, the CPPMUs are important in the harmonization and alignment of the ministerial and state departments' goals.
Despite the adverse effects that have been caused by the coronavirus pandemic to the economy of the country, stakeholders are hopeful that the economy will survive, and they say Vision 2030 is still on track. Reporting for TV47 from Mombasa County, I am Mariam Mwachar.
Now, from the seaside city of Mombasa to the nightlife of Nairobi, where the management of B Club in Kilimani, Nairobi, wants the Lands and Environment Court to reconsider an order that saw the club shut down last year for operating in a residential area and noise pollution. According to the management, the club has met the National Environment Management Authority operational guidelines, but residents insist that the reopening solely depends on an agreement between them and the management. David Muloka has that report.
After almost a year of no business, the big club management says it is prepared to reopen, having complied with noise regulation measures, according to the National Environment Management Authority, NEMA. The club and 3 other clubs, namely Kiza, Space Launch and Explorers Tavern, were forced to close in October last year after they were sued by residents for violating the residents' right to a clean, healthy environment by playing loud music.
There were measurements that were given by the NEMA to be operated by B Club, and B Club actually complied with all the measurements by making sure we installed all that was required to make sure that B Club has got a proper soundproof.
But the residents, led by Kilimani Project Foundation chairperson Houghton Irungu, say the reopening is dependent on approval from them.
If there is a settlement that needs to be reached or an assurance that NEMA noise pollution guidelines and laws will not be violated, it is with the residents through the Kilimani Project Foundation, not through a interested party.
According to Irungu, the complainants in the case that saw operating licenses for Big Club and 3 other clubs revoked are the residents. The green light for return to business lies with them.
We have cases of children who have actually been sent to boarding school in order to get away from the noise. We have families who have taped mattresses to their windows in order to keep the noise from coming into their children's bedrooms. We've had nuns having to pick up condoms outside the nightclubs the next morning. Or we have had neighbors having to navigate past drunk revelers at 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning.
Irungu further says the residents have yet again returned to court to sue the club for contempt of court after allegedly reopening without a nod from stakeholders.
The violation of that court order took place on October the 3rd with the opening up of the club in contempt of that court order. And they have been served with a petition that essentially will bring them back to the rule of law.
Following the closure order, B Club sought to suspend the court's decision before the Court of Appeal, an attempt that was quashed by the court in August. David Muthoka, TV47, Nairobi.
Keep talking to us. You're watching TV47 News Tonight with me, Abu Bakar Abdullahi. The hashtag to use is TV47 News. Send us a message. Share with us your thoughts on 22047. Let me sample some of your feedback. Rev Havison Kosgei says watching TV47 in Lesos, Nandi County. Geoffrey Kosgei says tune in. Mark Omolo says watching from Wagusu, Bondo, Siaya County. Mark Omolo says great achievement for my MP. Roxy Chemu says tuned from Nakuru, in love with your news. Keep talking to us. Time for us to take a short break. We'll be back with more lovely news after this break.
Kila siku ya Jumatano tunazungumza, tunaulizana na tunajuzana masuala ibuka ya kisiasa.
He is not in Kirinyaga.
Maisha yangu ni huru na watu wangu wanyali.
Tulivunja vyama vya URP na TNA na vyama vingine tanzu, ndio tukaunda chama inaitwa Jubilee.
Mijadala komavu kuhusu yanayokuhusu, na zaidi ya yote tunakupa nafasi kumfahamu kiongozi wako katika kipindi Fahamu Kiongozi.
Yako kama mtoto ilikuwa gani?
Mimi nilizaliwa, sasa najuaje maisha ilikuwa.
Wakati namuuliza maisha.
Kwanza ilikuwa tu ni jaribu kabisa kufikia pahali ambapo nitafika Nairobi. Najua ilikuwa ni kazi ambayo ilichukua siku mingi sana kufika Nairobi.
Kila siku ya Jumatano kuanzia saa 1:30 hadi saa 2:30. Ungana naye Elizabeth Mutuku. Usikose.
It is said that cooking is one of the greatest gifts you can give those you love because nothing brings people together like good food. Join Chef Hamadi every Sunday at 6:30 p.m. as he teaches us some simple and quick recipes, only on The Throwdown.
You are the mighty God, the great I am. Hallelujah, hallelujah.
This and every Sunday, TV47 brings church straight to your home. Come, worship straight from your home as we bring you the Sunday church service at the All Saints Cathedral from 11 a.m.
Kila siku ya Jumatano tunazungumza, tunaulizana na tunajuzana masuala ibuka ya kisiasa.
He is not in Kirinyaga.
Maisha yangu ni huru na watu wangu wanyali.
Tulivunja vyama vya URP.
Welcome back to TV47 News Tonight with me, Abu Bakar Abdullahi. Now, Rwandan female truck driver Munyakazi spends 3 days on the wheel from Rwanda to Kenya to get cement from Nairobi and spends another 3 days on her way back. Yet Munyakazi, a mother of 3, does not see that as a burden. She spoke to our Kigali-based reporter Diana Iriza, who has filed the following report.
Meet Munyakazi Ledus, a truck driver in a male-dominated field. She has been plying this trade for close to a year now, as she has no regrets. Instead, she finds it gratifying when she is able to accomplish the arduous task by herself. Munyakazi tells me that women who break into male-dominated professions are actually more advantageous than the opposite gender. I had the desire to work. I didn't want to be dormant. When I thought of what to do, I decided to go for technical jobs. I noticed that most graduates in Rwanda are unemployed. I realized that it's tough getting a job in Rwanda, but when one goes to a technical school, they get a job automatically. After my technical studies, I later on decided to become a truck driver. I've always had a passion for truck driving. Personally, I would say I haven't faced many challenges in this field of work. The only challenges I face happen to be general challenges, the same challenges that men in this field of work face. When we go to pick cargo from different locations in the region, there are truck drivers that are always delayed to return to Rwanda due to different circumstances. I don't face such challenges. In most cases, I am favored because I'm a woman. With eyes set on the prize, Munyakazi tells me it is still too early to start assessing her journey towards her dreams, but she is not looking. This job has a lot of benefits for me because it helps me achieve goals I wouldn't be able to achieve if I weren't a truck driver. I have become very self-reliant and very independent. I now have the capability to attain any goal I desire to attain. One message I would like to give women and girls that want to join the truck driving business is to be fearless. They should be courageous and know that they are capable of doing anything. Once you're aware of that, you can get anywhere in life. Currently, there are a handful of female truck drivers in Rwanda. The number of women working in the transportation sector as a whole is 3% of the industry's total workforce. Diana Iriza, Kigali, Rwanda.
Sports, brought to you by 555bet.
Let's get to the world of sports now, and a team of 10 athletes who will represent Kenya in the half marathon competitions in Poland this coming weekend has left Eldoret today with high hopes of bringing several medals back home. Speaking at the Eldoret International Airport, the athletes said they have trained well and are well prepared for the competition.
Mimi nasema nimefanya mazoezi vizuri, mwili iko sawa, naenda huko kupigania medal.
Naona line up, niko na our mentors, akina Jocelyn, akina Beris. I think watatulid. Mazoezi haiko mbaya, at least ilikuwa mzuri kidogo, although corona ili affect. Lakini tunatarajia mema.
Well, from Eldoret to the world, and we wish them the best of luck if at all they need. Now, Football Kenya Federation Premier League's General Council has announced that the 2020-2021 Kenya Premier League season has been scheduled to start on 20th November. The council, which comprises of representatives from the 18 clubs which compete in the top league, shall subsequently release the fixtures of the new season. The council is hoping that the government will give the green light for the resumption of contact sport in the country before the stipulated dates, saying any date beyond that shall make it impossible to commence and complete the league. Elsewhere, the national men